When I think about the kind of educator I want to be, my mind always goes back to a memory from elementary school. I wasn't the most loudest kid in the class. I wasn't the one to raise my hand all the time or showing off how much I knew. I loved learning, but I was more Um, quiet and honest, and I spent a lot of my time second guessing myself. When I was in fourth grade, I had a teacher who completely changed how I saw myself as a student. I was always nervous to speak in front of the class and just like share my opinions because I always thought I was wrong. But she noticed the small things that most people might overlook that I did. For example, she would comment on the effort I put into solving a tricky math problem, or she'd notice how I'd like to doodle on the sides of my paper or notebooks. To me, those things seem small or unimportant, but to her, they were signs of creativity, and she paid attention to detail, and she paid attention to her students and what they like to do that encouraged them. One day, she asked me to share my work with the class. I still remember how nervous I felt. I kept thinking, what if I mess up? What if everyone laughs at me? But she stood right beside me as I explained what I had done. She gave me an encouraging smile the whole time, and she even pointed out specific things I had done well. That moment might not have seemed big to anyone else, but to me it was huge because I was so quiet and nervous to speak in front of the class. She gave me encouragement and even feedback to make me feel better about myself. It was the first time I felt like my voice really mattered in that classroom. Looking back now, I realized that that moment was about more than just sharing my work. It was about being seen. She showed me that a great teacher doesn't just look for the one who raises their hand the quickest or the most confident student in the room. They take the time to notice everyone, even the quiet ones. I noticed that she actually got to know her students, and the assignments were fun and engaging. And that all makes a difference in the classroom, makes a student feel special, makes the student not nervous. And that's the kind of classroom I inspire to have, just to make everybody included and all of that. That's the kind of educator I want to be. I want to create a classroom where every student feels noticed and valued. Not just the students who are eager to raise their hand, but also the ones who sit quietly in the back or the ones who need a little extra encouragement to believe in themselves. I want my students to leave my classroom with confidence, just like how my fourth grade teacher helped me discover in myself. So when I picture myself as a teacher, I don't think about lesson plans or tests. I want to think about my the faces and who my students really are and who are waiting for someone to see them, just like my fourth grade teacher that did. I want to believe in them and to push them forward. That's a kind of that's a very important kind of educator to have in your life, and it will make my students always think about me and how I encourage them to speak up. And I want to have a classroom where all the students are supporting each other, and I don't want my students to come up into the classroom and think, oh, they're gonna laugh at me. I want everybody to be more involved with each other, to understand each other better, because it just creates a better environment in the classroom.